My name is Vernon Compton. I'm the project director of the Gulf Coastal Plain Ecosystem Partnership and work for the Longleaf Alliance. I think looking at the range-wide perspective, what the partnerships help to do as far as leading to a more range-wide effort was that recognition that working at the landscape level just makes sense. You have to do that to be able to recover the system, to work with some of these species that really require large landscapes. We did that at a smaller scale with these partnerships like the Gulf Coastal Plain Ecosystem Partnership.
I'm Rhett Johnson. I'm the co-founder and president of the Longleaf Alliance. We like to think we were the catalyst for the resurgence and interest in longleaf. We actually began to be concerned about the decline of longleaf about 20 years ago.
I'm Nancy Natoli. I work in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Particularly, I'm the program director in what we call the Sustainable Ranges Initiative, which is a program across the department to protect and sustain the operational mission footprint. So we're interested in longleaf pine restoration because it helps to spread across a larger area the habitat that's available for these endangered species. It's important for our training lands, and it's a good buffer for our training activities.
We started to see a lot of similarities as far as management challenges. We started to learn from each other and realize that we'd be able to accomplish more if we worked at the landscape level instead of just internal to our own property lines.
Gulf Coastal Plain Ecosystem Partnership and the Longleaf Alliance both provide technical assistance in the form of one-on-one advice to landowners. We probably, in our office, get as many as 20 calls a day from landowners literally across the region, from Virginia to Texas.
Part of that is through meetings, facilitating of training sessions specific to management actions like prescribed burning. So we try and do as much of that in the local landscape. But also we have work together in the field a lot. We have a field crew that grew out of the partners desiring to increase their management actions on the ground.
With questions about when can they burn their longleaf, how deep should I plant them, what's the best source for those seedlings, when kinds of chemicals are beneficial, which are harmful. It's a recurring group of questions, but they're constant.
So we actually have a crew of people. They're experts in fire management, invasive species control. They work across the whole landscape. So whenever any one of the partners has a particular need, we need 3 people to help us pull off this prescribed fire on a given day. They go and help that particular landowner.
We also produce a number of brochures and other publications, as well as videos that are instructive for landowners and land managers across the region.
But as we transitioned over to longleaf, the agencies like the Alabama Forestry Commission continues to be a resource. But another major resource has been the Longleaf Alliance. It's been an integral part for us in terms of not only education for us, but education for anyone that is interested in longleaf.
We have cooperative agreements with NRCS to help assist private landowners. And we also have agreements with a lot of the state forestry and state wildlife agencies. And of course, all of those groups are represented here on the America's Longleaf Restoration Council, as well as a whole host of other NGOs that are interested in longleaf restoration, just as the Turkey Federation is.
I'm Mark Rice. I'm in the Corporate Communication Department at Southern Company. Our formal support of the Longleaf program is part of our program that's been in place 9 years. Our signature program is a Longleaf Legacy, which we established to support worthy community-based projects across the Southeast aimed at protecting the health of the longleaf. It's primarily through grants that we provide to community and a variety of organizations that do the actual on-the-ground work in the 4 states that we serve. That's Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi.
As responsible land managers through our National Wildlife Refuge System, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service recognizes that the longleaf pine ecosystem contains some of the most diverse plant and animal species in the southeastern United States. Over half of the reptile and amphibian species in the southeast reside in the longleaf pine ecosystem. There are also 29 threatened or endangered species that utilize the longleaf pine ecosystem. Fish and Wildlife Service also recognizes the benefits to fresh water that the longleaf pine ecosystems through filtration or some of the headwaters from streams originate in longleaf pine forests. So they also provide benefit to endangered aquatic species.
My name is Leonard Jordan, and I am the East Regional Conservationist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is an agency within the Department of Agriculture. Well, NRCS, of course, is an agency that provides assistance to private landowners wherever they may be, and we try to work with local people, identify what their local objectives are, and provide them with some assistance that would enable them to achieve the goals in alignment with their objective. And then, of course, that brings us to the southeastern part of the country, for which there is a great deal of interest in the longleaf communities, the people that reside in this geographical area, and there's a multitude of reasons that they want to do things that are in alignment with sustainability of the longleaf. Some of it could be just a source of income, but a lot of it could have to do with the protected of some of the very special threatened and endangered species.
And you have to continue to have that element of reaching out to all landowners, both public and private landowners, and providing information to them. Many of them have an interest in longleaf pine, but they need to know, how do I regenerate it? How do I get it established? Then how do I care for it? I mean, all the different issues associated with longleaf pine management. So what we've seen with that is a result of much more accomplished on the ground. We feel like we're reaching a sustainable rotation on some of these critical elements like prescribed burning. That's what helps to keep the system healthy. We know we need fire. How do we get there? And we decided one of the best ways was to create this team that worked across the whole landscape.
As far as the initiatives that are driving USDA's efforts, certainly we have an interest in all lands conservation, not only the lands that we manage on national forest, but also working with private landowners to help them accomplish their objectives on their land. So the all lands approach to conservation is really the key there as far as the U.S. Department of Agriculture's interest. We also work with other agencies in the USDA, like the Natural Resources Conservation Service, the Farm Service Agency. We all work together to implement the Longleaf Restoration Plan. The relationships that we have gained as a result of the America's Longleaf Restoration Initiatives have helped us work together with a lot of different entities and really practice good conservation on the ground, as well as leverage the dollars that we do invest, the public dollars that we do invest in longleaf restoration. So it's a good use of taxpayer dollars to restore these forests that are going to have benefits for many decades for society.
Policies, funding, decisions are made by people in rural and urban areas. They're all going to have an impact on what happens with longleaf pine management in the future. So we can't focus our efforts purely in one of those areas. We really need to make sure that education at all levels, we incorporate longleaf pine, why it's important, how you manage it. It's part of our heritage, it's part of our culture.